looking for respect nationwide.
What is going on, Sooner Nation? Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Barry and Mac Show. As always, myself, Barry, personal trainer, sports homes coach out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and alongside me, former Sooner wide receiver, 2000 national champ, Mr. Damian Mackey. How are we doing tonight, D-Mac?
Man, it's kind of like our new thing, huh? We locking in late night. But man, it's good to have the guys on with us live. I like it. Good times. But I said Barry and Mac after dark. I'm drinking. I'm on a cleanse. When you turn 45, you gotta keep your body healthy. So I'm on a 10-day cleanse. I'm drinking some cleansing tea.
Nice.
I'm chilling though. Excited for tomorrow. Headed up to, if you've ever lived in Cali, you know about Tahoe. So I'm going to Tahoe tomorrow. I'll be in Tahoe tomorrow through Monday. Go up there strictly to put in my parlays, kick back, hang, chill. The weather's still really nice for about another month. Then I'll be going back second half of the season during the snow. So hanging out in Tahoe tomorrow. Watch the game.
Can't beat that. Today, man, my Oklahoma listeners, if you were in Tulsa, Oklahoma City, just all over the state today, it felt like fall, man. It was gorgeous. I don't think it got over 80 today in September. That's wild. So it was absolutely just a wonderful, crisp day here in Oklahoma. And hopefully they get some of that weather tomorrow night, and we'll get there. But as always, folks, show's brought to you by OUInsider, OUInsider.com. Go over there, get yourself a membership. Those guys have been covering this team all week, all fall, all season long thus far, and there has been just fantastic content on the injury side, on the information out of fall camp, right? What some of these depth battles, who's going to win, who's going to lose, and then ultimately just covering the game up to this week. But tonight, D-Mac, it is me and you, and it is all about OU Michigan. For the second time in history, the Sooners will lace them up against the Michigan Wolverines. And I got to ask something about cleats here in a little bit, because I remember you bringing something up a while back, and there is a Sooner who may or may not have rocked the look that you talked about. I want to say it's like 2 years ago, and you're like, man, it's a mean look, but we'll get there. Stay tuned, folks. But we're going to talk about the game tomorrow. It's going to be an evening kickoff. College game day is there. The Michigan fans are already camping out, singing hail to the victors, to the Sooner faithful. It is quite the show. Big Ten versus SEC. And it's a game that OU needs to win. Venables is, I wouldn't say he's on the hot seat, but there is real pressure for this team to perform this season, D-Mac. OU really needs to hit that 9-game win mark this year. And it starts with a game like this, a game where it's not a conference game. So you're going to get a little bit of forgiveness down the road, especially if it comes playoff time, if you do happen to not bring the win home. But at the end of the day, it is a winnable game. It's not Ohio State, who's coming off a national championship a season ago. It's not a Georgia, who you know is going to run 2 and 3 deep of NFL players on the defensive side of the ball. It is a team that is breaking in a freshman quarterback that had a dip in the offensive line a season ago. Some things have been corrected, but there are still the plays for the taking along their offensive front. And on the defensive side of the ball, they do have some players, but it is not the defense that beat TCU and took care of business all season when Harbaugh was the coach and was just dominant. Went back and watched the New Mexico State game, and we'll dive into some of the the actual inner workings of the way this Michigan team looks. We'll talk about Underwood. We'll talk about Haynes. We'll talk about some of those guys on the defensive side of the ball. But D-Mac first, the pressure and importance of this game for Coach Venables, for Arbuckle, right? For the defensive staff, for the offensive staff, for this to be the coaching staff as a whole going forward, and for the players who are starting tomorrow to be able to make a name for themselves and not get passed up by younger talent because they haven't been able to cut the mustard or have issues in a game like this where those faults are they show up on the biggest stage. Talk about what this game means right now from a player and coach standpoint.
Yeah, I think this is why you take the job at OU. I think this is what makes OU special. It makes us a true blue blood. You're playing a program like Michigan, and the expectation is to win, right? You know, you big boy against big boy. And let's keep it 100. Like, Michigan has been yesteryear university for like 50 years. I mean, 97, they had a really good team with Seawood and hell, even Brady and those boys. I believe Brady was on that team. But after that, they were not to be heard of until Harbaugh took over. And so I would say the recent history and tradition of OU is probably more rich than them. And then, you know, go back to the leather helmet days. Who gives a damn? You know what I'm saying? Like, none of us were alive. We don't care. But anyway, no, big game. Listen, I you know what? I don't feel a lot of pressure for BV. Well, first of all, we are firmly entrenched into the SEC. Second of all, BV coach understands what it means to be the coach at OU. Like, you know, you had a couple rough years. You had to turn the tide of the culture. We saw what he said a couple weeks back in terms of, you know, the culture and the team and the drugs and the, you know, I was having a conversation with someone last night. In fact, I told the story of Justin Boyles. Justin Boyles lives in Cali. I'm not going to tell his personal business, but he works in a space that's tangent to what I do. You know, I'm a business coach and I develop brokers and things of that nature. And so we ended up, you know, we ended up together. You know what I'm saying? Yesterday, and we called someone together. I'm not going to reveal who that person was, but the person was just like, Mackey, divas. And more importantly than just divas who didn't earn it. You know what I mean? Like, the limelight of playing for OU was everything to them. And I can't lie. When I was at OU, I loved being an OU football player. It was a special feeling to be in a town, Norman, be in Oklahoma City, even be in Dallas, wherever we went. But we had skins on the wall. You know what I'm saying? Like, we put that work in. And I wouldn't call myself a diva, never. But I ain't no sucking either. And so there's a difference. There's a fine line. And anyway, I just think it's been more than people lead on to what he inherited when he came to OU. It was toxic. And that's not an excuse. And they talk about an individual is based upon their character, right? In fact, I'm reading a book. You know, I read a ton of books. But an individual man's morals are based upon his character. An organization or a company or a team, you know what it is? It's your culture. And so I think it's essential for him to come in and really, you know, face it head on, address it as a man and say, hey, guys, this is what I'm going to stand for. These are the things I'm going to support. And this shit over here, if you do this shit over here, you're out of there, or you don't embody what we need as a program. And so I say all that to say, this is the test. And I hope he's not at home concerned or scared or, you know what I'm saying, crossing his fingers and his pinky toes. I don't think he is. I think BV's like, we're prepared. I have my guys, the guys that embody who I want to play ball. And if he hasn't, it's on him. Like, think about it. 4 years in, if you still don't have it where you hope to have it, there's no one to blame but you. You have your coaches, your staff. You've recruited some of these guys since they were 9th, 10th graders, right? Like, this isn't year 1. This is year 4. Therefore, I feel like he has a plan. And I want our fans to feel like, don't go into this game afraid, because of what happened last year or the year prior or whatever, right? We had one decent year and 2 bad years in terms of my standards. But like, this is his year, and we have not lost, and we don't have an anemic offense, a cancer patient offense. We don't have that, right? We have a solid defense, and we have a quarterback who can throw passes, and he's not 5'11". You know what I'm saying? And we have skill guys. You know, the offensive line is a work in progress. The running back depth chart is going to be an interesting thing for us all to watch.
Yep.
But I just say all that to say, it's just very reminiscent of 2000. We knew how close we were in 99, and we knew a lot of things went our way. We had a lot of things go in our favor in 2000. More, I think the biggest one is injuries or lack thereof. Mm-hmm. BV has to be in his office. Like, I got my guys. He's got to be in his office. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's no one. Well, I guess that's not true. I was going to say there's no one learning a new scheme, but the offensive guys are. But you've got the brain trust and the quarterback connection. Everybody else just 100%. Has to execute, right? So that makes a huge difference. Barry, I think going into this game as OU fans, or at least me, I can't speak for everybody else, I'm going to have a quiet confidence. I liked how we played against Illinois State. Not that it was perfect, but that the mistakes you saw are correctable. And some of the things that were concerns to me, like the offensive line, I heard firsthand that they were healthy scratches and they're ready. Right? That makes me feel good. Your left guard potentially, your left tackle potentially, your right tackle potentially, and then the depth amongst the other guys. And then the other guys had a game to mess up, correct film, and say, okay, let's improve. That's a huge thing. Week 1 to week 2 in college football is a big, big difference. Damn it, Michigan ain't perfect. You know what I'm saying? If we were playing Ohio State,
yeah,
I would be like, okay, right, like B, we gotta eat our Wheaties, you know what I'm saying? We gotta pray, you know, we gotta say all of our lucky stars, you know, we gotta say our prayers, we gotta, you know, all that. But we're playing Michigan. They better understand what they about to get themselves into. I said it the other day. If our fans are not extreme, if I can't hear you guys in Tahoe, don't mind me. I'm gonna be chilling. I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna call it out after the game. But I feel like the fans are gonna be prepared. I feel like the Sooners are gonna be prepared. And I don't want to talk too much strategy yet, but I will say this. Michigan's not going to try to out-strategy us, trick us. Michigan's going to say, hey, dude, we're pulling the guard. Can you stop the power? Hey, dude, we're pulling the guard and leading with the running back through the hole. Can you stop the blast? Hey, dude, we're going to show power and we're going to throw counter off of it. Hey, dude, we're going to run power, show the ball, pull it out, and we're going to run power pass. Can you hit the tight end? Like, they're not going to try to trick us. Right, per se, like a Texas Tech or West V or, right, you know, Bama 4 or 5 years ago, Nick Saban's years when he had the QBs and the quarterbacks and stuff. They're not going to try to trick us. Anyway, I'm going to go too far. Let me stop. I think this is a game we need to win. I don't think that there's anxiety. There better not be. If I was getting ready to play this game and I know that they had a good spring and summer and a fall camp, I didn't have anxiety when we played. I told you the only game I had anxiety, Texas. Just because it was pride. It was state pride. Like, I didn't want to let OU fans down. I didn't have anxiety against Florida State. By the way, I was like, we about to beat their ass. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. We was like, we are ready on both sides of the ball. K-State in the Big 12 championship, like, okay, they them goons, but so are we. You feel me? Like, we goons too, so they got to see us. Nebraska was a little bit like, ooh, this is Nebraska. I do remember Nebraska kind of being like, but usually it was Texas. Texas game, state pride, and you just don't want to lose and have your fan base have to deal with that for a whole year.
Yes, so let's dive into the game, man. Let's go OU offense against this Michigan defense first. Watching the game back, I've now watched it twice. I watched generally the whole thing and then more of a cleared up, no huddle version. And one of the things I noticed was something that you discussed before this season started, and I asked you about it specifically, was Mateer's relationship with Arbuckle and how that's going to impact his performance.
Yep.
And there were multiple times, D-Mac, where he is changing the hot read, where he is looking off a safety, looking off a backer, things that Jackson Arnold, not to pick on him, was not doing in a first year in Levy's system, and then was not doing first year of Luttrell's system, right? And then later when Finley took over, that these are detailed, nuanced things because Mateer knows when it's going to open. He knows where those receivers are going to be. One of the things I want to highlight with him, we saw some anticipatory throws in the game. I don't think I realized how many anticipatory throws there were until I'm sitting there, checking them off, right? And there's one, there's two, and we're about, I would say, a solid 16, 17 passes in of throws where not only is he throwing the receiver open into a position for the receiver to make a better move with the ball once it's caught, but the ball is on its way before that receiver is even turning around. I believe there's a play where carry on actually misses a ball that was on its way that would have should have been a good ball. And the other thing I was surprised at, and I did a breakdown of this on X, is Mateer's wiggle. Man, it is elite. I have not seen a quarterback with the ability to drop his hips and make a move like that in the open field. And I know people are going to be like, oh, come on. It is Johnny Manziel-esque in terms of the ability to drop hips, change direction. Because I don't think he is necessarily as fast, but man, his side to side and his ability to just stop and go the other way, which isn't speed, that is balance and acceleration. That's more strength than it is the ability to relax, and like open field speed is more, can you be a strider? Can you get into your rhythm? Can you get off that ground in a hurry? When it comes to making a guy miss in the open field, that is balance, that is strength, and that is the ability to just be aggressive in and out of those cuts. And maybe it's a tackle against Michigan, right? Maybe Michigan is able to hold their own a little better in those situations, but that was big. Michigan on the defensive side of the ball, you're missing Jayshon Barham, who's going to be suspended for the first half. He is an absolute headhunter, absolute killer. That's big, because if you can go up 2 scores, 10 points, 14, 17, before Michigan is even bringing one of their more kind of fearful players who really strikes fear into the opponents, if you would say that, before he even gets into the game, that's a big miss, right? To the point that there was discussion on, are you allowed to change what game the suspension takes place? I saw some jokes kind of going on X, but OU has offensive advantages, and they have 3 receivers after watching the film, D-Mac, in Burks, Lewis, and Satania, who are going to get open. And before I get your thoughts on just OU's offense, and we'll go to the offensive line in a second, but first just receivers and quarterback as it relates to Michigan in the secondary and the backers. Keontez Lewis, I saw somebody bring it up, then I had to double check. Black cleats. What are your thoughts on that? But then let's talk Mateer.
06 Sooners, baby. By the way, MC and them boys won too. So 04 to 06, I think they won 04 to 06. Listen, it's just, we always want to wear black cleats. You just look faster. You look meaner. The guys get to wear. They've kind of changed it. It used to be you had to wear the same color essentially. But it's changed. Some guys have red, some guys have white, or like white and red, right? Some guys have like Jordan replica, right? Like they have, I think this year they were in the 4s, which are pretty sweet, the red 4s. But black cleats, man, if I could have any year, for sure. And sometimes in practice we'd wear like our high school cleats, because we had Nike cleats too. So like in practice, sometimes we'd wear our Nike Speed TDs. Back in the day, Speed TDs was the ones. If you had those, you were a dude. I saw him with the blacks. By the way, did we talk about that or no? We didn't talk about that, huh?
I don't think so.
Oh, I definitely saw it. For sure.
Okay.
For sure, I saw it.
That.
Black cleats are dope, and I just loved us when we wore them. The AD, Mark Clayton, hit Mark's upper years, and then the AD years they wore them. I look at their defense. Here's where I look at it, and people are probably gonna get pissed, but I'm sorry, I gotta keep it a buck with y'all. Like, I'm still waiting to see. They gave up yards against New Mexico State. New Mexico State won the possession game. New Mexico State had like 19 or 18 first downs. Now they didn't have a ton of yards. I believe New Mexico State had like 230 or 280 total yards, and Michigan I think doubled them in that, or almost doubled them. But they possessed the ball, and it wasn't like Michigan was beating them 60-0 and was just playing cover 3. That wasn't the case. It was a pretty close game, or close enough to where you had to, kind of like our game, right? Like we couldn't just take our foot off the gas.
And it really took an INT late to get that thing up to 3 scores. It was like 1 and 2 scores for a very long time.
For sure. I will say this. Their D-line's pressure against New Mexico State's O-line in the second half, it was what I wanted to see our D-line do to Illinois State. But they've got some good guys. They've got some unproven, highly recruited guys. I'm talking on their defense and their secondary. I talked about, I said a hot take in our midweek. I said, hey, hot take, watch the corners, our corners, right? If our corners can play square up and we can legit put 9 in the box, we're going to stop the run, and we're going to make Underwood beat us, and we're going to run blitz to quarterback blitz. We're going to run blitz to make him make quick decisions. And if they pass the ball, he's got to get the ball out of there with bump coverage. I think that's going to be one of our techniques to win. On the other side of the ball, if Lewis and Satania, and Burks, obviously, if those guys can win, see, the difference is this: they have some sophisticated pass concepts for sure. In fact, when they had the kid who's now in Minnesota, they had some pretty Harbaugh's last year when they won it. Minnesota Vikings. They had some concepts, but they don't want to do that. That's not their DNA. Their DNA is to run power, to run blast, to run ISO, to counter off of that and possess the ball. They're going to want to keep away from us. If our receivers show that they can beat man coverage, or show that they've got to stay in shell coverage, which means they got to keep 2 safeties back. Again, it behooves us, and not even so much just the running game, Barry. It makes Arbuckle and Mateer feel comfortable doing a lot of our screen stuff, our misdirection stuff, our tunnel stuff, right? Things that if they're playing tight and potentially coming, you're going to try to hit a home run on some screens and things of that nature, but you're also going to be a little reluctant to give up a potential big play or a potential turnover. So seeing how I said it in the midweek, the very beginning of the game, I'm going to watch how their DBs play against us. It's going to tell us what they're trying to take away. And I'm going to be paying attention to how our DBs play against them. It's going to tell us if we're going to give them a one-way street where we say, hey, dude, we don't think your receivers can get past our DBs. Good luck running the football. That's what I hope I see, because then it's our good against their good. And if we stop their good, they're in trouble. It's going to be a fun chess match. I'm still a wait and see right now. I don't think either team gave away the best of what they have against the opponent that they played. And I think both teams played an opponent good enough to give them a test without really testing them, if that makes sense. So first quarter is going to tell me a lot.
Man, one of the things I noticed in watching back, and you really zoom in on the receivers, is they do the receiver chemistry. And maybe you could talk a little bit about this when you played in Leach's system, where it was very important where you lined up, what your timing was, right? And in this one, that they almost run it like a little basketball, where they are almost running screens in the open field, but they'll do it like, Jokic and Murray. Well, they'll play real tight to each other, and then they'll break off, and they know when the other one's about to take off. And then the DB has to choose, or you put the DB in literally a position where he's screened, and all the receiver did was get in front. But essentially saying that there is a lot of nuance to this offense and a lot of detail that has been coached that we've missed the past couple seasons as fans, as people looking at the game and just trying to enjoy good offensive football. I think Lewis, Burks, and Satania are going to be equal or better athletes in most situations when they're lining up against Michigan's corners. Now, Michigan in 22, I want to say, they had a safety and they had a field corner who are both in the NFL. and they're not there anymore, right? These are guys who, again, you said it, highly recruited, players who everybody wanted, but unproven, right?
Yeah.
You know, Peyton Bowen came to Oklahoma, 5-star player, but he got his first couple seasons and had some issues in different spots. Let's talk about offensive line, because that's another area I want to touch on. I will say, and I know there were some other podcasts that disagreed. I've watched it back now numerous times. 54, Nwewu, really solid ball game. I've said it. He's got the strongest hands on the team, but also just seems to play with the most sound technique, always on balance, gets the job done. Any center not named Everett got taken to the woodshed a couple times by their nose. I think it was 97 for Oklahoma. But there was a couple other guys in there who gave them the work. 70, Ryan Foji. I think he is a player who this week he got coached up a lot, because when you talk about physicality, D-Mac, he brings it. But there are multiple times where he's the puller and he just stops. He doesn't finish the play. It's almost like he gets there, he's moving as fast as he can, and then right before it's that time to commit, he just pats his feet and doesn't commit. Illinois State player flies right past him and ends up making the tackle. On the edge, I think Howland as a backup on either side is going to be fantastic depth. And with Bakalenko, I'm not super disappointed. I thought he also played a pretty solid game in the watch back, but you need Fasusi, you need Simmons, you need EPL to come ready, and you need a guy like EPL. You need a guy like Fasusi in this one, or even Simmons. I don't really know what his mindset is, but this is a game where, if you remember back in 17 when OU played Ohio State, it was a completely different game from 16. In 16, that O-line felt timid. That O-line felt like they were a little scared, like, oh, this is big bad Ohio State. And OU struggled at times to move the line of scrimmage. When they came in 17 and Ohio State still had a Bosa, right? They still had major talent across that defensive front. Those guys along that line of scrimmage for Oklahoma came ready to play. The attitude was there. The aggression was there. Whether you win or lose, whatever, right? Let the chips fall where they may. But if you don't come with that attitude that a guy like an EPL, hopefully an Everett, who's looked at as a leader on this team, and then maybe a Fasusi, a Simmons, right? Guys who could potentially be vocal leaders. You got to have a vocal leader saying, we need to be nasty in this one, and we need to come ready to hit somebody. So I'll let you kind of dive into the running backs, because I'm curious to hear your take, and we touched on a little bit in the last pod, but just line of scrimmage against what is essentially Michigan's strength of their defense. What does Oklahoma need to do in this one from a scheme standpoint to go out there and be successful?
Listen carefully. This is for everybody. I see a lot of questions in the chat or whatever, the comments, whatever. I want you guys to pay close attention to this tomorrow. In the first quarter, by the second quarter, we saw 8 players and like 9 different guys in positions, meaning some guys had rotated amongst the offensive line. I'd be willing to bet you on Saturday we don't see any more than 6, unless there's an injury. And for everyone who's concerned, and by the way, I'm not saying I'm not concerned. I am concerned. There were some of our guys who just got their asses kicked. And so that's that. But I do understand the offensive line truly is a unit, and it's very hard to gain continuity. It's very hard to gain trust. It's very hard to understand tendencies when, let alone, guys are being shuffled in and out, but guys are being shuffled amongst positions. I'm not making an excuse. I'm a guy who likes to ask questions. I ask questions for a living. That's literally what I do. I do a lot of consulting for a living. So I have to ask a lot of questions. I asked questions and people flat out said, like, guys were getting interviewed. And in that instance, it's not going to look as good as it would look if there were 5 or 6 guys who clearly knew this week of practice, you're playing right guard, Foge. This week of practice, you're playing left guard, Ozita. This week of practice, you're playing right tackle Simmons, left tackle Fasusi. Howland, be ready because he didn't play last week. If we need you, are you ready? Yes, I'm ready, coach. Okay, you're the 2, but damn it, you might be in second or third possession. Howland, EPL. You may not start this game, but you're going to play. When you go in, we're going to run this package of plays you love, murder somebody. It's different. It's different. And I'm not making excuses. I am not having hopium, I don't think. But when I'm told by someone in the program, by the way, they could have been making an excuse for all I know. But when I'm told firsthand, like, yeah, man, we were tossing guys, excuse me, different positions to see who could play what and who was going to be ready to be, the guy for the Michigan game, then I have to lens my critique different. Then I have to, watch with a different eye and say, okay, maybe, things aren't going to be as flush or succinct. Is that a word? Did I make that word up? I don't know if that's a word.
Yeah, that's right.
I was a math teacher, not an English teacher. I don't remember. Okay. Yeah, succinct, right? I don't know if things, it just came to mind. But I am not cautiously optimistic about the offensive line. I watched when I watched that game against Michigan, there are two things I looked at. I mean, they're running game. You watch their offense. I know what it is. I know what Harbaugh wants to do. I know what they want to do. I said, let me see their D line. Let me see their secondary, because our offense is going to. I think our offense is going to be better than our defense this year. If our offensive line can hold up, I do. I because good offense beats good defense, and I say all that to say, Michigan's D line can punish us if our offensive line isn't ready. And here's the thing: I'm not a line of scrimmage guru. Sat in a ton of meetings, college and high school, big time programs, and learned from a lot of people who know this stuff inside and out. But it doesn't take a genius, Barry, to watch the film against New Mexico. By the way, somebody said it was New Mexico, not New Mexico State. What's the difference? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, man, I got a scholarly to New Mexico. I got a scholarly to New Mexico State. Like, look, and that's kind of mean.
That's wild.
That was me. But I do mean by the third quarter and really in the fourth quarter, Michigan pinned their ears back and dominated their offensive sets. Somebody's laughing. My bad. I shouldn't have said that. I'm such a jerk sometimes. Don't mind me, guys. Don't mind me. Our offensive line had to have watched that film multiple times. I know they watched it on Sunday. They got it on the iPads. I know they watched it as a group on Monday. I know they watched it for sure as a group again on Wednesday when they did blitz pickup, because there was a lot of heavy stuff coming. I know for sure they watched it again yesterday, and today they did walkthrough. They watched the whole game again. They watched the entire game again today like they would have on Monday, if I know the way they did it. So these guys know offensive line's got to step up and let Mateer feel comfortability. Arbuckle and Mateer have to have a game plan in place. But Barry, I do expect the group to be a unit, and I do expect them not to rotate and sub guys in and out, masse per possession like they did week one, which means, assuming the running back rotation makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see. I think the fans are going to be pleasantly surprised to see the O-line look like they had a huge transformation, and in reality, it's just one unit who got 80% of the snaps this week in practice, primarily Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, who know they're going to be the starters, and those guys are going to be better equipped to be successful.
Yeah, this is a game where the focus from the players is going to be there. There's no reason why this one shouldn't have your attention. And OU, when you're going into a game where you have an advantage at quarterback, or at the very least in this case, now I would say OU has a pretty distinct advantage at quarterback. Just because Underwood's a freshman, he is very talented. He can beat you with legs, arms. He is as quick as a release as you'll see in college football, and he's pretty accurate, and he throws a rocket. But there is nothing like experience being a teacher, and the environment he's going to see, he has not been in. It is brand new. So that is 100% going to be a factor. But the confidence that a Mateer can offer you, the knowing of the playbook, one of the things that I didn't see a lot of people bringing up was how many times Mateer was telling Blaylock where to go in this last game.
I didn't pay attention to that.
There was multiple times where it was a hey, line up here, and he was doing that with everybody, right? And that's what you discuss when you have a quarterback who can just play point guard, right? Be a Jason Kidd and say, I need you right here. I need you to do this, this, and this. It doesn't matter what covers they're in. If we execute, we're going to win the play. Because as you said, good defense or good offense is going to beat good defense because you know where you're going. You know where you need to be. And if you got a quarterback who can get the ball there, you're not winning over 50% of those plays. And if that's the case, you're going to win the game. You're going to, at the very least, be in it. And then you're going to make some hay. And in a game where it could be close, and we'll talk special teams later because I think that could actually be a real factor after watching the Michigan game this past time. But I want to go over to the other side of the ball. I think we've beat the running back horse. Unless you got anything to say there, I think we've beaten that one to
RB.
death. Yeah, Blaylock, we'll see, guys. You know, it's no telling whether or not he's going to play at this point. Anytime you get a stinger like that, the chances of him being the bell cow probably pretty low, but the chances of him being in this one, we'll see. Do you think, man, because I think I know the answer, I think what is most likely, particularly if OU wants to come out passing the ball to set up the run, you got to think that they're going to start Barnes regardless. So who do you think goes out there, D-Mac, first possession in this one at running back?
So I agree. Depends on what they're calling. If they're calling a play where the running back has a key component or aspect of blocking as he's expected to do, then I expect it to be Barnes. I will say a couple caveats. I was told that X-Rob's a really good blocker. He was just coming off a nick as well, so that's why he wasn't in the mix. They were rewarding guys who went through all of camp with that game, so we don't know. I don't know. I don't have any like secret sauce on who's going to come out there because I do know for a fact the week one starting lineup was based upon guys who pushed through fall camp, and apparently there was a culture in years past where guys kind of knew they could kind of miss and then they would still get to start. And so I think BV was trying to prove a point with game one. I wouldn't be surprised. Here's what I said. If Barnes trots out there first play, if I'm on Michigan's defense, I'm excited because it means he's a main component of the game plan. Regardless if they don't run the ball with him, they'll figure that out in a possession or two. Oh, he's in the game. It's probably not a run play. They'll figure that out, right? If Ott trots out there the first play, think about it. What are they thinking? Oh, shit. They watched film on Cal. They know what I did at Cal. If X runs out there the first play, I know exactly what every linebacker and safety and corner is thinking. This dude might run me over. If Barnes is running out there the first play, everybody on defense is saying, if I get him, it's a form tackle. Like you know what I'm saying? Like,
the tackle is just
hey, I'm not trying to make fun of him. I'm not trying to be a jerk. Buddy gets form tackled like it's sideline tackles in Pee Wee League. Like, bro, how does everybody get head across? It's like perfect form tackles on. They get their head across, run through, lift. You know what I'm saying? Bring your hips, bring your back. It's like, dude, right? We got
man, form tackle.
Yeah, I don't think I got form tackled 2 times in my entire career. You're not form tackling me. That's not.
It's like grabbing the jersey, getting the ankle. Yeah,
they might get a leg. Somebody might even catch you slipping and get a good lick on you, but they're not form tackling you. Wow, and then head across and then boom. Like, come on, bro, what are you doing?
Right.
Anyway, I don't know. But I do know guys are healthy. I do know they were doing some specific week one, give guys extra reps in kind of the scrimmage environment. So I think we'll see true starters this week. I think they wanted to rest guys like Ott, rest guys like Fasusi, rest guys like Simmons, right? Somebody asked me about the Gibson brothers. I would be willing to bet they're going to wait another week or two, especially because Lewis came back and balled. Birch played well, and Satania was very formidable. So I think they feel like we've got enough frontline talent right now to not have to rush. I think if the receiver core looked subpar. Giovanni's close enough to where they may have considered him playing. I think if this is a conference game as well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I will say this. I don't think Blaylock plays a lot. I don't think he should play a lot.
Yeah.
True freshman, you know, let that kid get another week off and then maybe play the second, whoever we play in 2 weeks, you know, the scrubs before we go into conference play. You want that kid healthy because he's going to help you throughout the duration of the regular season.
Yeah, in an SEC schedule, he is a value add, a guy who's explosive and a punisher like that. You know, in a perfect world, in this one, you would have Blaylock healthy, but two, you would have Ott get the lion share of the starts, and then you would bring an X-Rob in second half or the late first half to finish off drives, but then also just finish the game, right? You remember what OU was able to do with Anderson and Sermon, how they were able to make that work as a 1-2 punch, and both backs really bought into it. Makes it in P line. You know, but both backs sort of had their thing. There wasn't a lot of overlap, and it feels like to give kudos to that room, because I know people have kind of crapped on Murray's recruiting. I don't think it's been recruiting. I think it's rotation, what's being coached, and then offensive scheme and opportunity, right? I think that is the talent is there. These are guys that everybody wanted, right? Durham was, you know, OU was in the mix till the end.
Why do we always have this conversation? Here you go.
Yeah.
People always, I don't want to talk about it. Don't bring his name up. Don't bring his name up.
Point being is the room is talented, and as long as guys can buy into a role, and maybe you find that flow in a game like this, that is how you win these games. Is you have a plan and a strategy for what who the go-to guy will be, and what you think will be most successful at what parts of the game. One of the things that I do think is going to be a big factor is Oklahoma's defense, especially in the front seven, being incredibly sound from a technical standpoint. You go back and look at all the big runs that Illinois State had. It was small things, D-Mac, you know, it was alignment not being right. It was a guy like Daniels being too far inside on one of those first drives, and they just get outflanked on the edge, and the running backs off to the races. And Illinois State picked up chunk runs, which made the yardage look a lot better. When you go back and just watch it play for play, OU dominated most of the line of scrimmage. In the run game, when they went back to pass, OU was right there, pressure in his face, interior, on the edge. It was all over. But OU is going to have to be sound in this one. And I'll say this, because I saw some players getting pubbed for having fantastic games. That's great. But on that defensive line, there will be no opportunity to take plays off. You won't have the chance to be like, I'm going to loaf. I'm going to stand tall on this one and just give up the play. You're not going to be able to do that because you don't know where that ball is going to be going. Michigan is, I won't say they are incredibly talented. Well, I won't say they are dominant up front just yet, but they are talented. And when they get a push on you, they get a push, and they'll move the line of scrimmage, right? You might have a guy or two get beat, but their backs, right? I believe it was on the biggest run that Haynes had, that 56-yard touchdown early on in the game. Their left tackle totally whiffs and just completely misses it, but that player's a non-factor because Haynes is through the hole and he knows what to do with the ball once he's in the open field, and he's just incredibly fast. But guys like Jackson are going to have to play sound football. Stone, RMT, Taylor Wine. This is where a Taylor Wine could be a big factor, almost like an Ethan Downs, where Downs really helped in the run game because he never got caught too far upfield. He was very sound in contained defense. He just played the position very fundamentally. And I think that's going to be a big piece. D-Mac, when you're looking at OU's front seven against the running backs that Michigan's going to throw out there, and they got three of them, right? They got Haynes, they got Marshall, and the third one name escapes me, but they have 3 guys who they're going to run out there. And I think the third one may be the best ball catcher. So that'll be interesting to see. But OU's defensive front, and then McKenzie, Lewis, Omasigo, how are they going to play this? What are the coaching points on the defensive side of the ball going into this one so that you don't get gashed for, 250, 300 on the ground and Michigan win by 14 points?
First things first, Wine, way higher ceiling than what's my kid's name? Just made it to the NFL. You just made the comparison. Our guy.
Ethan Downs. Ethan Downs. Yeah, 100%.
Way higher ceiling. Ethan Downs was a serviceable edge guy. He'd hold the edge, but he was not much of a threat. Anyway, the defensive front seven, 2 things to really look at. I want to look at our zero techs. I'm going to be paying close attention to Jaden and Dominic, Dom, and seeing if I'm going to be paying attention to if their center has to double. If their center has the freedom to climb, it's going to be bad for us at the second level. And I feel good about Jaden being able to require a double. Otherwise, he's going to blow their shit up because that's what he's really, really, really good at. The other thing is I'm going to be watching to see based upon pre-snap alignment if our DNs are going to be given permission to hunt or if they're going to be more assignment driven and being responsible for, because if you see guard pull, it's follow ass because the guard's going to lead you to the ball, right? So I'm going to be watching to see, if we're going to be doing a lot of where if they're going to be running that power, sometimes to beat power, what you do is you take your backers and loop them out. Obviously Mike has to stay in the A gaps, but your backers loop out to contain and your ends crash in. And they follow guards, and they just play right behind it to run through tackle. So I'm going to be paying attention to see, is BV going to give them permission to hunt and go upfield, or is he going to say, hey, it's more important right now for us to, like, if you ask me, I think he's going to run blitz, because run blitzing is going to put them in position to where if they run some type of action or if it's a pass or whatever, it's going to make the freshman make a quick decision. It's not going to allow him to be comfortable. It's going to move him off the spot. And so I think that's going to it's also going to allow our DNs to hunt. When you run blitz, the DNs can hunt unless they have contain, and then they've got to contain the edge. So I'm looking to see how that's all going to play out. But pre-game, we have to, with our chest out, say the advantage when they have the football, their offensive line against our defensive front, we have to say we have the advantage, and our guys have to show up, period. Whether I want them to, you want them to, our fans want them to. Kip Lewis, McKenzie, KD, Kendall, right? Kendall Daniels, our safeties. I know our safeties are going to be heavy in the run game, and then those forefront guys, right? Whether it's Marvin Jones and Jaden, or if it's Dom and Stone, right? RMT, Wine, whoever it is, those guys have to hold up. If Michigan's getting 4, 5, 6 yards early off in the game because we're not accustomed to their level of physicality, I won't be too concerned. But if Michigan is gashing us and guys are just being walled out or walled in, that's going to give me cause for concern. I believe we're going to play fairly conservative initially to see what they're doing, and they're going to have some success, 3, 4, 5, 6 yards. I think that's going to be something that our fans should be prepared to see. Of course, our guys are going to win some too. Or somebody's going to get a crossface and they're going to make a TFL, things of that nature. Things are going to happen, but I don't expect our front to just dominate Michigan's front, because that's their DNA. Their dudes have been running their stuff 10 years. I think Harbaugh was there 5 or 6 years, and then Sharon has been there. This is his first year as the full head coach, or second year, but still, like, that is entrenched. Our guys are going to get a test that I think maybe only a Georgia, like LSU, can't duplicate what Michigan's going to do. Georgia can, or has. Bama has in the past. I don't know if they can anymore. I think about it. Who in the SEC is going to run the ball with the fervor that Michigan's going to run the ball with tomorrow? It's probably Georgia can. So yeah. I think our fans need to have an expectation that, like, we're not going to just dominate them. We could. We could have a scheme that's going to kick their ass, and I'd be excited about it. But my thoughts tell me the chess match is going to be, how do we incorporate the safeties and how do we incorporate run blitzes? Because we're going to try to play an even front initially. And I think they're, again, if we just put 7 in the box pre-snap, they know where their guys are. They know how to execute that. They've done it for years. I think they're going to have some level of success, and it'll be up to BV. This is the cool thing. BV is going to get to cook, y'all. This is the cool thing. Like, the game is going to turn into a strategic warfare. And so it'll be fun for us to see, do we go to a zone scheme and we show pre-snap one defense and then we move into another? Do we play bump like I want us to do early? And do we tell them pre-snap, run the ball, I dare you, because our corners got you, right? Are we going to try to make Underwood see ghosts and win first down? Maybe it's everything on all. We got to win first down, put them in second and long, right? So we have to put them in a position to go pivot early. It's going to be fun to see how BV does this. And this is going to be a game he's going to get to put his stamp on. We win this game, it's going to be because BV put his stamp on it. And so I think he's all about his front seven. Here's what I will say. A name that played extremely well that a lot of people don't know yet was Heineke. Heineke outplayed Kip Lewis in the third quarter, which is why he primarily played the third and the beginning of the fourth quarter before they start putting in pups. I think he was more gap sound. Kip missed a couple tackles. He missed his gap a couple times, and you saw it, and you could see him like, dang, you could see when he makes a mistake, he'll kind of emotionally let you know. Don't be surprised. Heineke's a little light in the ass, but so is Kip. Kip's like 230. I think Heineken's probably the same. So it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the table. Samuel's going to have to show me that he's ready to be a big-time backer. Mm-hmm. He's got the measurables. Solid kid, a third year in the program, so he's been around the way. He's not a pup anymore. I want to see him go out there and be an enforcer, be a leader, be an alpha. And he has the opportunity to do it. But I think right now, I think he's a 2. So we'll see how that all plays out.
And this is the game where if you're going to get that confidence that this is it, right? I think that if OU is able to stifle any degree Michigan's run with playing with 4 and 5 up front, and they're able to win a lot of those battles without having to devote a ton of players to the line of scrimmage, that they're going to give this quarterback just a really tough time. One of the things in this game against New Mexico that they did with Underwood, it was a lot of passing on the edges. He is very quick getting the ball out. He is very and typically on target with those throws. But this is a game where you're playing a Guillory at corner, and then you're playing Gentry at the other corner spot. If they tackle well and they don't let those plays go for 6, go for 11, be chunk plays where you can get into a 2nd and short, where you get a first down off a 3rd and 4, right? If they can limit those plays, I think Underwood's going to have a tough time pushing the ball down the field. He had moments against New Mexico where he had opportunity and just didn't do it, right? Maybe in this one, a little more confidence and lets it rip. But, man, this is Oklahoma, and this is a Venables defense this season. And if we remember right, we go back to yesteryear. We go back to just right after you played DMAC, when OU was going into a game against a freshman quarterback, the defense was as confident as they could be. The fans were confident. That quarterback is going to struggle. He is going to be confused. OU is going to disguise things. OU is going to, start in this look, switch out at the last second in this look, and you won't know what's coming. This is going to be a clinic of sorts in terms of defensive coaching. And does Chip Lindsey win? I believe that's the OC up there in Michigan is Lindsey right now, if I remember right. And then Venables. It's going to be a matchup of who's able to be one step ahead of the other guy, and then at the end of the day, who's got the Jimmies and Joes when the play is underway that is going to just beat their man. And I would say for the maybe second year, possibly third year in a row. This is a game against a blue blood where OU is going in and they're not out athleted at every position. Especially for OU's defense, they will have as good or better athletes at every spot opposite them that Michigan is going to throw out there. And that evens the playing field, particularly when you're Oklahoma and have a quarterback like Mateer who is not going to cost you points, but who is going to give you points. I will say with Underwood, one of the things I noticed is that he will try to put the ball on the numbers to receivers, which means he misses behind. He will miss guys and turn his receivers around a little bit, probably a little bit too much. And I guarantee you this is something that he's been coached up on, and that's going to open the door for interceptions. If you're confusing him and he doesn't know what coverage you're in, if you're able to bait him into throws, particularly some of the stuff that's short, this is just ripe for pick six territory. This is ripe for
Kip six, baby.
Exactly.
Six.
But one of the things that I do think Underwood does well.
My bad, I was just getting excited when you said pick 6. It was making me think of my guy, my boy Kip. You know what I'm saying? That boy is known for them Kip sixes.
Yeah, and I saw some fans talking about McKenzie. McKenzie has greatly improved in his pass coverage ability at backer. But where I want to take this is one of the things we're hearing is that OU may deploy some lineups, and I don't think this is anything the news flash, if you will, but we have heard a handful of specifics from different places that the lineups OU is going to throw out will utilize some of the better talent at each positions, even if you're maybe moving a guy here who normally plays this spot to be in this spot or in this look to create some confusion. So, D-Mac, just your thoughts when you played, went against the Venables defense, right? You're going into a big game, and particularly as it relates to the secondary and linebackers where you can disguise looks, you can show this, show that, put a guy back there who maybe you weren't predicting is going to be there. We know Roy, who made an appearance, a little cameo on the show the other day. Roy essentially played linebacker in the Florida State game and was actually introduced in the starting lineup in that game as the third linebacker, but was all over the field and became a real thorn in the side of a Chris Winkie. I'm not saying OU's rolling out with the Roy Williams, a Superman in this one, but you do have players. Powers comes to mind. Obviously, you have Daniels, Bowen. That there's a lot that you can do with RSJ close to the line of scrimmage or center field. So you look at the matchups and the possibilities Oklahoma has. What is going on this week in practice and in this game that you think is going to lend itself to a successful outing for the defense?
First things first, I want to give a special shout out to Say Some Shift for the super chat. I always want to make sure we show love to folks who, make any type of donation or whatever to the show. Definitely appreciate that. 199, he asked if we'll see the Gibsons. I don't think so. I know I spoke to it, but I want to speak to his name. My bad, I got the window open. You guys may have heard that motorcycle. I don't know.
You're getting after it, man.
Yeah, somebody's speeding down the block. Defense. Well, here's the thing. BB institutes a 4-2-5. Roy was a linebacker. He was a Willie backer, and I wish he had. If he's not on tonight, which is funny, I wish he had just owned it because he and Parcells had this thing at for the Cowboys. I believe Roy's a Hall of Famer if Parcells doesn't try to prove a point that he's not a backer. That's a conversation for another day. That's an off-season conversation. But that kind of pissed me off because it put Roy in a position. Roy never played high safety ever. When we were in high school, I played high safety. Roy played boundary corner. And then at OU, he played the 4-2-5 safety in the box, right? And so anyway, BV already institutes it. It's why Kendall Daniels was playing over the two receiver quite a bit on last Saturday. The Kendall Daniels is a backer / safety / hole defender type of a guy already. And what I think we might see is, aside from Peyton or I guess it could be RSJ. I think coach might consider instituting Powers in as one of those safeties just to bring a little more beef because he's a bigger, girthier tackler. By the way, I hear he's a very, very, very sound tackler. And so I don't want to make too many assumptions about what's going to happen, only because I expect Kendall Daniels to be an X factor in the sense that we don't have to change our base coverage. You know, I think, and by the way, I thought it was weird. If you remember in our pregame show, I said, hey, I expect to see Powers and more 11 personnel, and I expect to see Daniels and more 12 personnel. And that was not the case. He walked out over the two receivers. So it wasn't even like a split the difference. I'm playing backer. He literally was out there like as if he were a nickel corner. If you go back and watch the film, there were plenty of times where Kendall's out there like, whoa, okay, he's out of the box, right? I think they did that for Michigan. I think they wanted Michigan to know, like, you can't just jump into a personnel grouping and expect us to change our personnel. Our Cheetah is a good enough player that if you throw a guy out there, we'll line him up, but don't think Michigan ain't gonna say bet. We're gonna take our 5'9", 178-pound slot receiver who runs a 4.38, and I'm just making a guy up, but it's very difficult for a bigger, stronger, longer guy like a Kendall to guard a 5'9", 5'10", 4'4" guy who has a lot of wiggle at the second and third level. And I think that's going to be something we got to pay close attention to early. Is Michigan, if we're going to be stubborn enough to say you're not going to, personnel grouping us out of our base, then Michigan is going to quickly say, oh, okay, cool, no problem. They're going to put their shiftiest, fastest guy and run deep corners, run deep crosses, run deep over routes where the receiver has a lot of wiggle to do what he wants to do, and he has to just get over. He has to just cross face. That's going to be where we're going to see. Is Kendall a guy who can do that, or are we going to be subbing sub packages in and bringing in Powers and bringing in corners, things of that nature? So I think that's a chess match we're going to see. The other thing that BV is going to be able to bring to the table is the ability to switch from a 3-man front to a 4-man front. And when we see that 3-man front come, he doesn't like to necessarily do the 5 techs. He'll do the 4-eye and then bring backers up. They call it dang, I forgot the term they use for it, but I like it because it covers the guards up. And so again, it sets you up for run blitzes. If that center has a nose and then the 2 ends are in 4-eye, which means they're on that inside shade of the tackles, and then you bring up backer types to make the 50-man front, right? Like everybody's covered. Nobody can climb. Everyone's covered. And so I would be interested. I bet you we're going to see more of that. I think they call it, I forgot what they called it. What's the name of the Sooner wagon wheel? Is there a name for the wheel?
Oh,
is there a name for it? I forgot, man. They used to tell me, they tell me this stuff, but I forgot.
Anyway, you could come through on that one.
Is there a name for our wheel? I feel like there's a certain name for the Schooner wheel. Is there? If it's not, whatever. But that front, it takes away it's almost like a bear front in some respects, except the personnel groupings are 3D linemen and 2 backer types.
Yeah, it's not a true bear front.
Yeah, for the true bear front, there are 4 D linemen, and then you bring the backer up. But I think we're going to have some pivots. BV is going to, we're going to start in the 40 front because that's what he wants to run. And then he's going to move into that Sooner front. That's a 30 front with the backers. You're going to have 2 4-eye techs, and then you're going to have those backers playing outside shade out, keeping contained. And you're going to see 1 middle backer, and you're going to see a safety come down in the box. It's going to make us the different. It's going to the 7 configuration is going to look a little different. But I really think here's what I know, guys, and I'm trying to save it to the end, but I'm just going to say it now. We want their true freshman quarterback to beat us. We want the game to be out of the hands of turn around and hand the ball off. If that kid, as an 18-year-old in his first away game in a loud stadium, is able to take on that and be successful, then he's an NFL dude. The likelihood of that, ask Arch Manning in his 3rd season. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not every day. Even the 5-star top shelf quarterback can manage that as a true freshman. If I were betting man, OU does not just give a true freshman permission to just hand the ball off and we're going to, figure it out. We're going to overload on the run. We're going to close and shrink down windows, and we're going to force a true freshman to beat us with pressure, with disguises. Sometimes we're going to show pressure, back out, and it's going to be every 8-man covering. That's what I expect us to see. And I saw my man B. Yeah, I see you, B. I see my man B in here again. B, that's what you're secretly scared of. Like, let's keep it a buck, right? Like, if I get it, everyone's talking their smack, whatever. At the end of the day, you got a true freshman, my guy. And he's going to be a Norman, my guy. And he's going to have to figure out how to ascertain one of the very, very best defensive minds in the entire country with no friendly faces. I would much prefer to have a fourth-year quarterback at home who understands the system with his OC than a true freshman coming into Norman. And your plan A is to run the football. And your plan B is to run the football. Plan C is to let's see what our quarterback can do. I promise you. You could talk all the smack you want. It's cute. Yeah, we'll see who's soft. Like I said, pull up on Sunday. In fact, we're going to be here tomorrow night. If you guys want to do our post game right after the game tomorrow, go in the Zoom chat and put hell yeah. I'm just curious to know for the people on after the game tomorrow, if you guys want us to do the post after the game, put hell yeah in the chat. And if you guys say so, we'll stick around and get it done tomorrow. But if we do it, my man B, pull up.
Better.
Pull up. Because at the end of the day, like I said, that them boys got to play the game. We're going to be on the sidelines cheering. But I want you to come. Rain, sleet, or snow. Don't be no fair weather fan because I'm going to be here. Win, lose, or draw. I'm going to be on my show making sure we talk about the Sooner Nation. So I said that to say I was going to wait to the end. I want the game to be in the hands of the freshman quarterback. And I want the game to be in the hands of our junior quarterback. I feel good about that at home under the lights. Palace on the Prairie.
Yeah. I don't want to necessarily belabor the young quarterback point, but I've seen the comparisons from Michigan fans to Cam Newton, guys like Vince Young. Obviously you're talking upper echelon of the game, but also it's important to take into account Cam Newton was in like final Hail Mary of a season to get a shot to play in the pros when he was a developed college, almost NFL player when he had the success he had at Auburn.
I was about to interject, but no need. You already hit the nail on the head. Go watch Vince Young his first year against OU. I'll tell you the score, 16-0. I'll tell you what he did. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Go watch Cam Newton. What is that, 06? 07 in Florida? Still in computers as the scout team QB. You know why? Because he wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? As a true freshman, he wasn't ready, but he was stealing laptops. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'd love for Underwood to be Vince Young or to be Cam Newton because those guys as true freshmen were not the players they were as grown men 3 and 4 years into the program.
Yeah, it takes so long. You have to see so much data, and you compare that to, I think, which was why it was surprising to see some of the experienced quarterbacks we did see around the country struggle. But I do think it comes down to that. If OU is able to defend the run and handle that with as few players as possible, the secondary and the corners for Oklahoma, that they're going to be able to pin their ears back. And if they tackle well, I think this is a game where you can't have missed tackles. You can't let a 7-yard gain go for 40. You have got to maintain and keep that momentum for Michigan at bay. And this is a deal where OU fans have been waiting for the coming out party, D-Mac. That Dylan Gabriel year where OU goes 10-2 and gets the Texas win, that feels a while ago at this point. Gabriel's done played a season at Oregon. Jackson has came and went. That feels like an eternity ago at this point. So all that to say, if the momentum gets going in OU's way and they're able to get up a couple scores or even just get that early momentum and get the crowd into it, this does feel like one where the fans are just ready to take the lid off, and the atmosphere could potentially be a very memorable one and one that puts the country on notice that not only is OU back, but they're a team to reckon with this season, right? Does the offensive line as a fully healthy unit with all of the starters, true starters playing, did they have success against Michigan's front? And if they do, that bodes well for the year because, in my opinion, Michigan will be one of the more talented fronts OU is going to play because they don't see Georgia on the schedule. Alabama is not what they used to be. LSU does have some players, and then also a layer back there, they got a Harold Perkins. So they're going to have guys who are going to be talented, but Michigan, just player for player, is going to put some of these guys in the league. They're just not ready. They're just not quite there yet. But all this to say, D-Mac, final score. I'm going to let you go first on this one. When it's all said and done, does OU get the victory? And what is the score of this game?
I just want to say, let's not forget to do offensive, defensive player of the games because I want to make sure we hit on that. But in 3 years of doing this podcast, I have never in my career picked a loss. I don't pick losses. That's just not in my DNA. Been a champion in too many things in my life and went undefeated at too many things in my life. If they end up losing, then we're going to tip our hat and say salute to Michigan. But guys, dang it, as of tonight, I expect to beat ass. It's belt ass. If you asked me what the final score will be, and yeah, guys, go ahead, throw your score predictions in the chat as well. I'd like to see what some of you guys are thinking. If you ask me what the score is going to be, here's what I think. And by the way, people aren't going to like this, and it's going to test us. I think Michigan gets out to a lead. I think the first few possessions of the game, our guys are not ready for the physicality that's coming their way, a la Nebraska. A la Nebraska 2000. I'm not going to lie. They played tight bump, and they didn't play outside letting you go inside like K-State did. They played head up. They didn't let you go inside or outside, and it took an adjustment to figure out how to deal with it. I think Michigan is going to, by the way, 3 points, 7 points, but it's going to feel like a lot because Michigan wants to play keep away. They want to possess the ball, shrink our opportunities to have possessions, and then put us in inopportune situations where it's 3rd and long or, right, the half's going to end, things of that nature. Shrink their way for us to have the ball. If we get a lead early, we're going to kick their ass. I'm just telling you, because then the game's going to be on their quarterback, and their quarterback's not going to be equipped for BV's defense. He's going to show so much combo. He's going to show cover 6, drop into cover 3. He's going to show cover 3. It turns into cover 1. He's going to show cover 2, and then they're really zone blitzing. He's going to show 7 men up, and nobody comes. And then we're going to get a pick 6. A D lineman's going to pull out into the flats, and the quarterback's going to be trying to throw that quick slant to the slot. And the DN knows what to look for when he does that. And we're going to be cheering because the freshman's not going to be ready. We get out to a lead. We smack that ass. They get a lead. It's a close game, but I believe we have the talent to overcome and adjust and take the running game away from them, or at least neutralize it enough so that they have to depend on some passes on 2nd down, some obviously passing on 3rd down. Give me Oklahoma against Michigan's defense, 31. We're down 21-13 going into the half. BV makes the adjustments. Mateer says, gosh dang it, I got gorilla nuts. He gets in his guys' asses. BV walks over to the offensive side and says, yo, Beanball, get your best 5. Who's not scared? Stand up if you're not scared. 5 guys stand up. And he said, okay, you 5, we're going with you the rest of the game. We're going to run the damn football. I need you guys to pass pro, and we're going to take their ass over the top. And we win the game 31-21. We shut them out in the second half. The freshmen, I think we take some of his pride with either a pick 6 or a scoop and score or some type of play where we jump in front of an in cut or a slant route and maybe the guy doesn't score, but it's a huge momentum play. And at that point of the game, they're like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Excuse me. I think the crowd is good for 7 points. I think the crowd is good for a couple of penalties, pre-snap penalties against them. Oklahoma wins 31-21. The nation's on notice. And I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but all of a sudden people are back on our nuts like they used to be. I think the nation is going to be like Oklahoma's back. And here's what I also think. I think the SEC is scared. They want us to suck because they know who we are. And when we win this game and we look at Texas and say, yeah, we beat them too. Y'all beat them and we beat them. 2-0, 31-21. The offense makes enough plays. Guys show enough to really turn some heads. I think Ott is a guy who finds a couple creases. I think he finds a couple creases. By the way, it may not even be in the run game. Maybe some screen stuff, some things on the edge. But I think we're able to get away from that bubble, which they like to play in. Give me Oklahoma 31, Michigan 21. We win the turnover margin 3-1. The end of the game, we've taken their quarterback's heart, and he's questioning if he's ready to play D1 football, big boy football, in conference play.
Man, D-Mac, one of the things that stood out, and I wanted to hit it as we got out of here with our scores, in that game against New Mexico, the special teams, other than kickoff coverage for Michigan, they had some hiccups. They struggled. Their punt returner muffed one punt and then was darn close on a couple others and just was having a real tough time. And then on their punt coverage team, there's going to be some lanes there that they had multiple times where they're out of position. And if New Mexico has a burner who can hit the gas or is not fair catching, you have some opportunities in those scenarios. And I think Satania is going to have a chance to take one back in this one. This feels like a game where I'm going to say, give me the offense for 27 points, right? So I'm going to say 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals, but then give me special teams, maybe defense. But I'm going to say special teams for another score. And I'm going to say OU gets to 34 points in this one. And I'm going to say Michigan 20, but I don't think it's as close as that 34-20 score. I think it is. I think Michigan's going to hover at that 13 mark for a long time. And I'm of the ilk that I actually think it'll be pretty close early on, just because of the thing you brought. The physicality is going to be a factor, and adjusting to a different style of football. You're playing Big Ten football in this case, and Michigan's going to be a tough team, and it's going to take a second. And it might be a deal where OU's down by 3, early in the second, mid-second, and they just have to get their footing. But this offense, they had more explosive plays, and guys, if I mentioned this last pod, I'm sorry. They had more explosive passes, D-Mac, over the middle in this one pass game than they did all of last year. So talking about explosives, over 20. And the anticipation that Mateer threw those with, and the separation that the receivers got, it wasn't just that they had a small window and Mateer hit an accurate throw. Those receivers were making Illinois State's defensive backs look like they couldn't cover anything. It was easy pickings, and they made very easy separation and made for easy throws from Mateer, and that's what you want to see. So give me OU 34 and give me Michigan 20, but it's really more like a 34-13 type game. Michigan's going to score a late touch. I think Underwood plays the whole game, looks like he's gathering himself a little bit more later, and they're able to get a score up there just at the end. But give me OU 34-20. But what other games we got this week?
Whoa. Let's stay here. Hold on. We got to stay here, bro. We got to do some X factors, offensive, defensive players. I don't want to talk about this is a big game, bro. This is a decade old. We got to win this joint. I don't want to leave this one. Yeah. Let's stay here. Let's
get it.
Let's stay here.
Let's get it. I think special teams is going to be huge. Okay. I really do. I think Michigan in this one, that punt returner is going to be struggling for confidence, and the first time that a catch doesn't feel easy, he's going to be hearing footsteps. And then
give me your X factor. I want to know your X factor. Offense, defense, special teams, whatever. Who's your X factor for OU on offense and defense?
I think on defense, you know what? To me, it is if Michigan gets the pass game going to 17. They're tied in. I think it's Klein or Kleinman. He is, I wouldn't say he's a mismatch problem, but I think the coverage of the linebackers and the safety play is going to be paramount. And I think a guy like Peyton Bowen being able to make tackles out in the secondary and not let those plays that do get behind the backers go for more is going to be huge. And Peyton showed out. He was a guy who I mentioned and brought up last game. So give me Peyton on defense, and then on offense, I think it's going to be Fasusi or Simmons, because that is, and I know I'm kind of whatever on both, but the tackles are going to be important in this one. I think just them playing is going to strengthen that interior a little bit. Everett's going to play the whole game. I don't think they're going to switch out guys at center. Everett's a big body against those Michigan players. Even if he wasn't perfect against Illinois State, you've got to have a guy like that. So give me the Fasusi Simmons combo at tackle, and then give me Peyton Bowen.
I like it. On defense, give me McKenzie. He was brought to OU to be a guy who could thump in these games. I think this is going to be a game where we see if he's an NFL type player. If he can be who I think he can be, shed blocks, be strong in the A gap, wrong shoulder stuff and spill it to his help. That's going to be a huge, huge addition. What it's going to do is allow Kip to be clean and go chase football, see football, hit football. But I'm looking at McKenzie to see how he plays. And again, just speaking about him, it's going to make me look very close in that, Jaden. I'm going to be very interested to see how Jackson does. On the offensive side of the ball, you ready for it? You ready for it?
Sure.
Oh, I used to loathe this player, and I think he's going to be a factor.
I know where you're going.
It's going, listen to me. When we go 11 personnel and we're 3 wide, and they're going to want to stay in base, I think he showed a little too much juice against Illinois State. I really do think he showed a little. I think the defense is going to say, yo, dude, this guy can run. I think one of their analysts did some due diligence and said, sir, coach, this guy ran 10-3 in high school. I think the cat's out the bag, and people are going to know that he's going to be a mismatch. I think Canik scores. I think, listen to me. It's going to boil down to is if the receivers can, if Lewis and Burks can duplicate what they've done. And you've said this, and I do want to pay respect. Michigan is not Illinois State. So whatever our guys did against Illinois State, I don't expect it to look the same against Michigan, just because it's a different caliber of player. But if on the outside, our receivers can garner the defense playing true. Let me just sum it up like this. Do you guys think a guy who's been playing tight end for all of 7 months is starting because he's the most technically sound? He's the most fundamentally prepared because he's the most experienced? That's not why he's starting. I promise you that. That kid is getting reps on the fly because he can do stuff other folk can't do. I guarantee you they got some stuff cooked up for Canik, and I'm gonna be his big. I might try to find his jersey as much as he got on mine. Oh my God, how much Canik was my Barnes on defense? You know what I'm saying? Like those are my two. Like I can't. When I see him run on the field, it used to piss me off. But when I saw him Saturday, obviously he fumbled and he had a hold and he had a ton of missed blocks. But you saw the emphasis, you saw the energy, you saw the effort, and you saw him be a threat. So I think they're going to help him clean up blocking. What they're going to do is simplify what they ask him to do. I know you were talking about sometimes he has to reach, sometimes he has to lead up into the hole. They're going to simplify that to make it a cleaner look for him to know what to do. Because he's got to be on the field in order to be a threat. And I think he scores. He might score a 30, 40, 50, 60-yard touchdown and let people know.
He can go for 60, man. The
go for
speed wise, yeah, he can go. So if folks sleeping on that, Kanik is fast, and just watching the games, you could tell that. But I've also talked to people who played with him when he was in Kansas, and they're like, man, he can get it. He's got wheels. He can scoot.
Yeah. I also think it's going to be a not coming out party. I think last week we got a bad taste in our mouth. He got one carry with the makeshift line, and his energy did. They only showed him for like 20 seconds. I was like, why is his energy this bad? Yeah. It was like 20 seconds. I think we'll see a guy who is hungry to show why he garnered what he got, and one of the top portal running backs in the entire country coming to Oklahoma. I look forward to seeing him be a guy who can get skinny, be difficult to tackle, and if you give him space, hit it and make big plays. So there it is. By the way, yeah, hey guys, let me say this. B, bro, you will get bounced out of here if you know what I'm saying? We're not doing that tonight, buddy. Relax. You are at an OU podcast. I'm sorry for all of our listeners. We got by the way, we had 200 people on tonight at midnight, which is wild. But come on, man. Chillax, relax, bro. You can talk your smack. We not tripping, but we not about to be clogging up the comments with rubbish. Relax, bro. Or you can just bounce out straight up. No, I ain't mad at you, but I'm not dealing with the shenanigans, my man. So figure it out. We want to see you after the game tomorrow, win, lose, or draw. But let's not, you know what I'm saying? We out here acting real childish, and that's not necessary. Give me Kanik, give me Ott. I think Mateer and those guys are going to do what they need to do. I actually think the O-line is going to be better than anybody anticipates, simply because you're going to see 5 or 6 guys who are going to get a lot of repetitions. They may not look great the first possession or two. I don't know. They may come out and look really good if the scheme is strong, but they are going to there's going to be more continuity. I expect that tomorrow, and I think the fans will be pleasantly surprised when they see it.
Yeah, one of the things that I was thinking about and that we heard in fall camp was that OU did have some continuity through fall camp up until those last couple weeks, and we heard that they had about 7 to 9 guys in any given game that they would be happy to play.
Oh, yeah. Right.
But they had 5, and it was clear who those 5 were, and that was something that we heard all through camp. So that you got to have depth, right? So I guess for fans, it is that balance of how much was OU just saying it's Illinois State, we should win, just rolling the helmet out there, versus they needed time to gel. There were real issues. Like knowing that balance is real tough, and you're going to find out in this game, right? You're going to find out how good this offensive line was. And maybe it's a Tennessee game type situation in 15, DMAC, where you're starting Orlando Brown in his first game. You got some other players on the line starting in their first game. And Tennessee, they got up 17, was it 17-0, guys, or 17-3, if I remember right, in that game. Granted, that's in Neyland, but it took OU a second to just say, okay, this is another level of physicality. The athlete on the defensive side of the ball is a little different than what we've seen in the Big 12. So does this game end up looking similar or feeling like a game where it just takes the O-line a second to figure it out? So I think it's going to be a win for Oklahoma ultimately. And if OU wins this one, DMAC, I don't want to start putting the cart before the horse, but if OU does get this W, it is going to, as you put it, it is going to change the public perception of the program the same way that Texas's win over Michigan really changed the public perception of Texas. Texas was seen as a fringe top 12 possible playoff contender, and then they get the win over Michigan. That they dominate the game, which that was a year ago, right? This Michigan team, save Underwood, is not much different than that team a year ago. The offensive line is a little better this year, but a lot of those players are on this same roster, right?
Again, they played New Mexico. We don't know if the O-line is any better because they gotta play us. If they dog us, then respect. But like, that's why I'm not really speaking on too much. Our opponent doesn't tell us. Our receivers may still be average. By the way, our fans may not like to hear me say it. They may be average. They played against dudes who could never play for Vanderbilt, right?
Yeah.
So we don't know. But Michigan also played against a Sister of the Poor, Handkerchief University, A&T, School for the Blind and the Deaf and Crippled, New Mexico, whichever one, Lobos, Cowboys, whatever one. And we don't know. What I do know is we've got our veteran quarterback. What I do know is they've got a freshman quarterback, and we're playing at home. And I like those. I like the setup for that for us versus the opposite happening and us being in Ann Arbor.
D-Mac, how many games did College Game Day come to when you played?
They came to 5 or 6. I mean, so just the 2000 season.
Yeah.
OU Texas.
Okay.
Game day. K-State OU. Game day. OU Nebraska. Game day. OU Iowa State. Seneca Wallace. Game day.
Okay.
I don't know if they were for A&M. I don't know if we had them, the A&M. I mean, Kirk Herbstreit was a Sooner fan. You couldn't tell me otherwise. He loved us. But I think I experienced game day outside of the Big 12 championship. They were there in Kansas with us, and they were at the Natty with us, right? So we took the picture at the end of the game on their set because
that's right.
Yeah. I saw game day. Nebraska's game. So we had it quite a few times. Seneca, the Iowa State game was pretty impressive. I gotta be honest with you. OU Texas is in Dallas, so we don't get it. And then K-State, it was in Manhattan, right? So it wasn't at our home field. Nebraska was special. I almost didn't play that game. We gotta get back to telling some stories, bro. So midweek,
I know.
Midweek next week, I'll tell you guys some stories about some stuff that happened over the course of that. By the way, I'm doing a 4-part series on OUInsider called Red October. By the way, listeners, I have been told by a couple of different people I need to write a book. If there's anybody who listens to this show and wants to collaborate with me on writing the book about Red October in the 2000 National Championship season, not from the lens of superficial stuff, getting deep dives into some of the nuances of what was going on. This brain right here just happens to remember a lot of the information. By the way, reach out to me. I'm actually being dead serious. I've been told on a couple of different occasions I need to write a book. And on OUInsider, I'm working on something called Red October. I kind of like that because I don't want it to just be about the Natty. Red October was like really when we figured out who we were. It's when we figured out if we were Neo in the Matrix. If you are somebody or know somebody, please connect. There might be something in it for you, but I'm dead ass serious. I have some stories I want to share and tell that I know people would really enjoy. And I want to share them with the Sooner Nation. So yeah, that's my pitch. I pitched somebody. Somebody's gonna DM me. Somebody's gonna hit my inbox or something. Let me know and let's get her done.
That's killer, man. It was weird that because this was Corso's last game this past week. So I do think it is going to be strange. I know Corso towards the end was not a major part of the game day programming, and they brought in McAfee. And
I like McAfee.
I do too. I know a lot of fans who watch the show. They don't like the antics. I will say he's cleaned up and kind of gotten, at least for the game day programming, he's figured out where his highs and lows kind of need to be. And him and Saban, they play off each other so well.
By the way, Saban's cold too. Saban's cold. I like Saban.
Saban is great, man.
I like Saban.
He's a good speaker. He knows the game. Like, you can tell his knowledge of the game because he'll see something even just on the screen that you can tell maybe he didn't look at pre-show, but he just instant recognition, knows exactly what they're in. His terminology is spot on, and you just can't. You only get that from a Nick Saban, right? You only get that.
Cold. Nick's cold.
Yeah, he's great, and I think Nick ends up sticking around for the long haul on that show, man. I think he ends up being a long time. He's older, but I think he ends up kind of doing the Corso deal.
Whoa, there was some buzzing. Did y'all hear some buzzing? I didn't hear no buzzing. Hopefully it wasn't that motorcycle. It only came by one time. Somebody said there was buzzing. My bad, Clint. By the way, I saw the big homie Jay. Big homie, you my man's, bro.
Yeah.
He be having me in stitches on the OUI. No, you inside.
Yeah.
Big homie be having me dying laughing sometimes.
Yeah.
I like McAfee. Go ahead, bro. You got it.
No, man. Yeah. If I do want to touch on that just one more time. If you guys aren't on OU Insider, go over there, grab yourself a membership. Not doing any deals, any specials right now, but guys, it's worth it. Period. Just go over there. Me and DMAC posting regularly on the site, interacting with folks. I have 4 or 5 different threads going from last week. Graded the O-line. Provide everyone on that site with film, and we really dive in and tackle.
I'm laughing at Clint.
I know.
I just got
yeah. But we handle the intricacies of the game, the performance side, the schematic side. So there, I promise you, there is nothing like it on any other board in terms of the amount of detail and the breadth of knowledge that we are providing on that. And then Parker and Brandon, they do a great job. They just had Connor Stallions on their podcast talking to the cheater pumpkin eater over there at the University of Michigan. And the documentary on Netflix, though, that they did on him was pretty good. They did one on the Michigan cheating year, and when they won the national championship, and it was pretty good. DMAC, the circle. I'm trying to think who the big game. OU Michigan is the highlight of the week. I mean, is there one more, or let's see? You got. I'm looking real quick because I want to just double check what we got going on this weekend. But OU Michigan is the prime time. Let's see here. Pull this bad boy up.
Iowa State.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, everybody's playing. I mean, Oklahoma State, Oregon. That'll be fun.
That's right. That was the other one I was trying to think of. Oklahoma State doesn't have their quarterback, man. That's going to be real hard. I had heard that they were very confident in the starter coming out of fall camp. I know this ain't the OSU show, but them losing him, really hurt. Flores, I think, can make some plays, but OSU is going to go through some troubled times, I think, in these next couple seasons. And Oregon,
I can't name one guy from Oklahoma State.
Isn't that crazy?
I know my boy Caden is going to be going there, so I'm going to be cheering for him because he's Kiwan's son, and they're not in our conference. But I think Freeman's kid, right? Freeman's kid's over there. I think he scored a tug last week. So, okay, there. I know that guy, too. Those are the only 2 guys I know.
Yeah, I think Oregon is a 28-point favorite on that one.
Hey, it's going to be ever since my boy Boone passed away, if Boone would have been around, I mean, if NIL would have been around 10 years ago, Oklahoma State would have been cooking. But yeah, my man passed away. God rest his soul.
Yeah, I think it's going to be real tough. He just barely missed it, man. Which is wild because, golly, man, the receivers that they had in the late 2000s, early 2010s, that they were big time. But
they had good players. They definitely had some good players. But really good games. I see Iowa State, Oregon, Okie, and then Ole Miss, Kentucky will probably be the best SEC.
That was the other one. Yeah. Wasn't a whole lot. Last week was a little more prime time when it came to that. We touched on it a little bit. Any surprises with Alabama, with DeBoer, with them just getting off to such an awful start like that, man?
You want to know what I feel about Alabama? Do you want me to tell you my truth?
Go.
If Alabama can add up all their handkerchief national championships and the Alabama Tribune and the Tuscaloosa Times and add them all up to their trophy case, God dang it, OU, do you know if we claimed all of our publication national championships, we'd have like 16 or 17? Like if I were in the day and age we're in, I know I'm on my soapbox, I don't care. But in the day and age that we are in, Oklahoma needs to say we have 7 AP national championships in a total of 17. Did you see what they posted last week? They showed Michigan like 13 natties. When?
I saw that.
When?
Yeah.
It said Oklahoma 7, Michigan 13. When did they win? Did they win all of them in World War I? Like, were guys wearing muskets and were they Minutemen? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think it was
the redcoats
5
coming.
prior to that.
One if by land, 2 if by sea. Like, what are we talking about? Like when did they win these natties? Was it Paul Revere's? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea natties. Like, did they beat? I don't know, but I really do believe. By the way, Bama did that like 10 years ago. They did it like 10 years ago. They were
winning national championships.
Yeah, they went from like winning. They were like behind us by 1 maybe, and then they were like up by 12. Like, yo, what happened? How'd they go from 6 to 17? You know what I mean? If I'm OU, I say 7 AP championships, 17. I mean, it's literally, by the way, there's years where the best team in America were undefeated, or we have 1 loss and the team we beat has 1 loss, and they're the 2 best teams, and we didn't accept the natty. Give me them damn natties. I want them natties. Matter of fact, shit, it's been a long time since we got one. So I know, right? I need to talk to the press and be like, yo, what are we doing? Like this, that's terrible marketing. We need to take advantage of that. But no, Alabama, hey man, you know, you're up and then you're down. We have Bob, and Bob had his heyday. I think the biggest thing for OU that we missed the mark on is we should have won 2 or 3 natties in that 8-year window. Between 2000 and 2008, we went 4 times. We won 1. We lost 3. I'm glad we won the one we played in. But I really feel like it would have taken Coach Bob to the next echelon. I had he won 2 or 3, like literally top 5 to 10 coach all time. You know what I'm saying? But I think Bama's time is up. Bama and Georgia have lost the ability to stack 4 and 5 stars and sell them on sitting on the bench and being a second teamer and just playing 1 year and then going straight to the league. Now those guys can get paid at Kentucky, Mississippi State, Arizona State, right? They can go make $1 million while they're in college. You know what I'm saying? And if they don't ever make it to the league, they put money in their pocket while they're younger. And then, of course, you know, the NFL is going to find you if you play. So evened out the playing field. Bama's feeling it first. I think Georgia's going to continue to feel the same.
Man, I was trying to think back to who started that national championship thing with all the pre-World War II, some pre-World War I.
You know who it was? Oh yeah, I know who it was. Who? Oklahoma freaking State.
Well,
Oklahoma State.
Yes, there was one more that did it 2 years prior to that.
Who?
Texas A&M.
Oh.
So are you ready for their natties? 1919, 1927, and 1939. I think the Wizard of Oz was still in theater.
Charlie Chaplin's doing the whole
doing the pregame.
Wow.
That is what, and then OSU does have their 1945.
That's so lame. I think all the men in America were fighting a war.
Yeah. I know that.
Like they won with a team of like 7 women on their team or something.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's like how they talk about Will Chamberlain scoring 100 points, and then you go and look at who he was playing.
Yeah, everybody was 6'5" and under.
Yeah,
he stood under the basket. Nah, but in all seriousness, I actually am being honest when I say that. It kind of pissed me off when they were like, Michigan 13 natties, when? You know what I'm saying? And then Oklahoma 7, and then you do the research, and it's like, holy shit, there's a ton of times we were called the national champions. And now, granted, I will say this. They called us the champions in 04 or 03, excuse me. We definitely were not the national champions in 03, so don't count that one. You know what I'm saysaying? We lost to LSU 21-24 or 21-14. But we need to market the natties of the years we had the best team. And it was just the publications, you know, picked bureaucratically or favoritism even, right? Sometimes I'm taking them natties.
Yeah. It would have. I'm curious because they would have won it in 73. I want to say they would have had maybe 73, 4 and 5. And I know some of our older fans would say, but I think that would have been a national championship. And then maybe 78 or 79, one of those years.
Oh, they have in the 70s and 80s, there's like 5 or 6 more.
Man.
In the 70s and 80s, there's like 5 or 6 more. Like I mean, it's like 87, I want to say. Definitely like the 74, 75 era, 70. What do we have? What are the back-to-back? The back-to-back is
74,
what?
75.
Yeah, so I think it's 71 and 73 in that era.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to take too much time on that. That's what I think about Bama.
Crazy.
Bama took all them. Bama was behind us one year. Granted, they won 3 or 4 and 7, like a 7-year window. And all of a sudden they're 10 past us. Like, what the heck happened? We're like, what? And again, of course, yeah, like you said, A&M has boogeyman national championships. And then, I mean, when Oklahoma State slapped that thing up there with all that pride, I said, oh my goodness. Looky here. When nobody alive to even confirm or deny that game even happened. Anyway, it's getting late. It's been an hour and 45 minutes, guys. I appreciate you guys hopping on with us tonight. I look forward to us winning the game tomorrow. I think you win in advance is a really big deal for us. I think BB's going to cook. I really do. I know Arbuckle's going to cook. So be looking forward to seeing some interesting concepts that we didn't show last Saturday. I'll be here to break down what I see. I didn't go to the game. Number one reason I didn't want to go is because I can see the game better on TV, and I know we're going to be potting right afterwards, and so I want to make sure I can have analysis and things that I paid attention to. And I also want to go to Tahoe. Tahoe's pretty awesome this time of year,
man. Oh yeah, it's getting to be that time of year. And D-Mac, I'm with you. Guys, we're going to be potting right after the game. As soon as that game ends, our goal is to be the first out there. So if you're driving home, I know we have a lot of listeners, D-Mac, who live in the Norman, Oklahoma City area.
These folks are still on 177. Go to bed. How y'all not sleepy yet?
That's why. Because I mean, full disclosure, guys, D-Mac's West Coast. I'm here, Central time zone. So it is true 1:15 in the morning. But man, I make my own schedule. I do what I want. So that if it's 1:15, I want to be up. Is what it is. But guys, come make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, make sure you like all of that stuff. YouTube is blowing up right now, and the feedback has been great. Just our midweek report, D-Mac, did big numbers. It was really cool seeing that. Very excited for all the listeners who are just engaging with it, man. Over on OUInsider, over here in the YouTube comments, on all the social medias, we're trying to consistently push out content. But tomorrow, man, give me 34-20. And then D-Mac, what was your score to take us on out?
31-21.
31-21. Either way, Sooners get the dub. College game day will be there. So make sure you're up bright and early. Catch every single second of it. But Sooner Nation, want to thank you all for tuning in again. We will see you soon.